Good evening, and thank you so much for joining us. I'm Erin Noon, and you're watching 13 News Now.
Welcome to 13 News Now.
We'll be coming to you live every weeknight at 9 p.m. right here at the digital desk at the WOWK TV studios in Charleston, West Virginia. We're going to break down the day's headlines. Coming into our newsroom just moments ago, a 2-year-old girl is found dead after shooting himself with an unsecured gun this evening. According to deputies, the child found the gun while alone in a bedroom. The child's mother and 4-year-old sibling were also home at the time of the shooting. The Kanawha County Sheriff's Office is investigating at this time, and more details will be provided as they are made available. And I made the mistake earlier saying it was a girl. It was actually a male. Well, there will be no baseball at Appalachian Power Park this season. The West Virginia Power announced today that the 2020 season has been scrapped due to Major League Baseball's decision to not provide players to any affiliated minor league teams this year due to the pandemic. No games from the 2020 season will be made up in any capacity. We will have more information from the West Virginia Power tonight on 13 News at 11, and you can check in with Anna Tarullo. She will have more details. Well, today marks the end of the 2019-2020 fiscal year in the state of West Virginia, and the governor says it ends on a high note. At one point, the state's budget deficit was expected to be between $250 and $500 million. Then the COVID-19 crisis hit, putting more than 60,000 West Virginians out of work. Congress sent $1.5 billion in federal aid to help. A big chunk of that federal aid and other grants will be used to backfill Workforce West Virginia, the agency responsible for paying unemployment benefits. Many members of the legislature in both parties want Governor Justice to call a special session so they vote on this spending plan. But the governor says he has the sole authority to distribute the federal COVID-19 aid. Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear says that the state is looking at one of the most difficult years in budget balancing due to the pandemic. He says they are estimating a $1.1 billion shortfall with potential cuts of 16 to 29%. However, the governor says a stimulus similar to the CARES Act from the federal government or approval from the legislature to use some of the current CARES Act funds would help to balance the budget. And then from your local election headquarters, the votes have been counted. Amy McGrath has won closely watched and surprisingly tight Senate Democratic primary in Kentucky. She just edged out State Representative Charles Booker, who had a groundswell of support around police brutality and racial injustice issues. McGrath will face off against Republican Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell in November. Also in Kentucky, 3 votes separated 2 top candidates in the race for the Ashland City Commissioner primary. Cheryl Spriggs, Mary Gutt, Amanda Clark, and Josh Blanton are the 4 candidates out of 9 who advance. We have more results from the Kentucky primary on our website, WOWKTV.com. Just go to the local election headquarters tab. In Ohio news, the Attorney General Dave Yost says General Motors should repay $60 million in public incentives after shutting down Lordsmouth assembly plant. An economic development agreement between the state and GM gave the automaker millions in tax breaks in exchange for a promise that the Lordstown plant would operate at least through 2027. GM closed the plant last year and then decided to build a new electric battery cell factory in the same area but with fewer jobs. GM says it hopes the state takes into account its significant manufacturing presence in Ohio. And as the pandemic continues to resurge in the tri-state area, one place many families should be cautioned about are playgrounds. The Greater Huntington Park and Recreation Department urges families to always wash their hands before and after playing and to avoid touching your face and practice social distancing. And even on a playground, you also really don't want them to be taking your children if the weather conditions aren't the best. And we're going to take it over to our chief meteorologist, Spencer Atkins, who is in our weather lab. Spencer, good evening.
Yeah, good evening. You're right. I mean, it definitely was hot today. Now, that's going to be the key moving ahead. We had a couple of storm warnings earlier that were really based on a couple of things. That was just the big downpour. By the way, we're on the web. I'm your weather dude in a box here for the television online version here of what I like to call Noon at 9 with Erin Noon. All right, by the way, also known as your Newsy News Now News. That's what we call it over here in the weather office. Okay, so checking things out here first of all to start. You got to have a nickname for these things. It's how stuff sticks. All right, so what has managed to stick today, unfortunately, was too much rain in small places. Portsmouth right now, that looks a little bit better. And here's a beautiful 9 o'clock sky. Isn't that gorgeous? Oh, love it. In Huntington, that's a pastel right there. Well, we have 70s. Now, we did have some 80s. It got up to about 88 today. That was in the Ripley area. And then it was only in the 70s around the Huntington area once the rain kicked in. All the warnings are done, which is great. Now, we did have some warnings around the Prestonsburg area, and the only showers left over are south of Prestonsburg and one right there on the Carter County, Elliott County line. And that is not the kind of thing that's severe. Let me take myself out of the picture, and I want to show you something here on this particular map. See where the yellow is? This is how much rain fell in the past 6 hours, and the yellow is 2 inches of rainfall. So south of Firebrick, Kentucky, that is where we saw in south of Portsmouth. In Greenup County, we saw 2 inches of rain. Had a little flooding over here, south of, sorry, I'm moving too fast, south of Barbersville, east of Martha, and that was more than an inch. And south of Prestonsburg, we had a little bit of some flooding that went on too. Basically, the system is kind of stuck, and luckily for us, we're not in that heavy rain out there to the west, and we don't plan to be. And you can pick up a couple swirls there with that. Tomorrow, it's that same diagonal line of showers that will just kind of linger. And so not many showers here, as you notice on Predictor. Let's go through time tomorrow. Starting off dry, I think we'll get up into those mid-80s easily in the afternoon. Then a couple little pop-up showers in the same spots that we had them today, just not as many, which is just fine. We don't need any flooding issues. And again, all those flood warnings are gone. And then Thursday, it looks like it's dry with one exception. If you look over the mountains here to the right where it says Elkins and Snowshoe, see, that's wind coming down the mountains from the northeast. So probably going to see a lot of cloud coverage, and that'll keep things a little on the cooler side there, where you see 77 for tomorrow up toward Elkins. But look at this, 88, 89 for tomorrow. Now, this is weather model output, so you'll see some mid-80s on Thursday. Friday, you're looking at 88, 90. Should be dry. And then again, Saturday, 89, 91, pretty common. And Sunday, briefly in there was a blip in the low 90s, which is plenty warm. And in terms of rainfall, that's not a lot. We can live with that kind of spotty shower storm activity. So there you go, your mowing forecast. I only put yellow in there because I do want you to be careful for the heat. That's the biggest thing. Tonight we'll drop back down into the 68-degree range. What a gorgeous sky. For tomorrow, 87 for Charleston, 90 for Huntington. Then those pop-up showers are still possible south of there. 86 in Clay, 89 in Spencer, and in Jackson, Ohio, 89. 89 in Waterloo, Ohio. Ironton, 90. Maybe a little isolated shower around the Portsmouth area. Eastern Kentucky, 89 in Ashland, 87 in Louisa, and 86 in Belfry. Let's look out toward the 4th of July, which is coming up on Saturday, friends. And here comes that 7-day outlook, and there you go. Looks like that. 87-ish tomorrow, 88, 91, then 93. Saturday being the 4th of July, looks dry and hot. And then we bring back the small chance for a shower or a storm, and that kicks back up again on Monday and Tuesday, but highs staying around 90. So that's a heat wave. Don't overdo it in the heat. We'll talk more about the heat itself starting tomorrow.
Spencer, thank you so much. I'm not really looking forward to too much heat, but hopefully it's not as bad. Thanks.
Right.
We're looking forward to your full forecast at 13 News at 11.
Welcome to 13.
And you can find those stories and much more on our website. We're going to go to the top trending stories at this hour. Troopers seek public help finding a missing Kentucky man. A second stimulus check says that they will consider a relief bill in July. And then a family of 3, including a toddler and pregnant mother, are battling COVID-19. And you can find those stories and much more on our website. Just go to WOWKTV.com or download our 13 News app. And that's going to do it for 13 News Now. Thank you so much for joining us. Make sure to tune in to 13 News at 11 with Jennifer, Rob, and Spencer. We'll see you here again tomorrow at 9 p.m. Have a great night.